Monica, all yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I will start today with a statement or a note on the Amazon. But before, I have to say hello to Ilaria Marroni. She is joining us today at the last row, right, Ilaria? Yeah, buongiorno. She is with ATN, American Television News. Welcome to our ANCA family. The President of the General Assembly has welcomed expressions of global support for the Amazon rainforest after incidents of fires. Ms. María Fernanda Espinosa said that the logistical and financial support agreed by the G7 leaders, over 20 million, will help efforts to control the fires and to bring relief to the people, most of them indigenous communities living in the affected areas. The PJ also stresses that the forests must be protected from any harmful activities which jeopardize its crucial role to tackle climate change, to conserve biodiversity, and to ensure food security. As a specialist in environmental policies who worked in the Amazon for several years, Mrs. Espinosa believes that all countries which share the Amazonian territory could benefit from strengthening their cooperation even further. The PJ says that the work of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization, ACTO, is a good example of partnership for sustainable development of the Amazon basin. She believes that ACTO can inspire initiatives to promote the protection of the Amazon and its crucial role as the world takes climate action. The Amazon is home to about 38 million people and occupies 40% of all South American territory. The forest also concentrates 20% of all existing fauna and flora. The Amazon basin has 20% of the world's freshwater. And now a trip announcement for you. The President of the General Assembly will, tomorrow, 27th August, travel to Salt Lake City in the U.S. state of Utah to take part in the 68th Civil Society Conference. Ms. María Fernanda Espinosa will be a keynote speaker at the opening and the closing of the event, which will take place from 26th to 28th August. This year, the conference's theme is Building Inclusive and Sustainable Cities and Communities, focusing on SDG 11. The UN Civil Society Conference is focusing on climate change, peaceful societies, opportunities for youth, partnership with civil society, and its role to implement the Sustainable Development Goals on sustainable cities and communities. Ms. Espinosa will speak to the Youth Caucus on youth taking firm action on saving the planet. She later will visit the LDS Charities Humanitarian Center and will hold a bilateral meeting with the mayor of Salt Lake City, Her Excellency, Ms. Jackie Biskupski. Ms. Espinosa will also be received by state legislators in Utah, and before returning to New York, the PJ will hold a bilateral meeting with the Utah Valley University president, Ms. Astrid Tilmenes. She is also going to talk to international media outlets and national media outlets while there. The PJ's delegation includes an advisor, a communications specialist, and her personal assistant. Travel costs are being covered by the PJ's Office Trust Fund. And Mrs. Espinosa will be back in New York on 29 August. And last but not least, as you know already, I'm only reminding the ones who are not here on Friday, that on 16 September at 11 a.m. we will have our last press conference with the PJ here. So you are all welcome to attend it. And that's all from us. Do you have anything else? You do? Or you don't? Okay, so you do. Okay, go ahead. How are you, John?
Well, Monica, thank you so much. I just wanted to follow up on the PGA's visit to Austria this past weekend.
Sure.
Did she have any bilaterals vis-a-vis the ongoing crisis and situation in eastern Ukraine and any way to stop this fighting going on in Europe?
The PJ talked, as you know, she was received by the president of Austria, His Excellency Alexander from de Bergen, and van de Bellen, actually, van de Bellen. And they discussed several issues during their bilaterals. And of course, her presence there was also to speak at the Altbach European Forum, where relevant political issues were discussed as well. But the participation of young people, in current, having a bigger say in decision-making processes. The PGA also had the opportunity to be at the very day of the 40th anniversary of the International Vienna Center in Vienna, as you know, which houses several agencies based in Vienna. So it was a very important day as well for our Vienna staff, and she also paid tribute and to the former IAEA Director General, Mr. Amano, when she signed the book of condolences or condolence book that was there. So she had a very full agenda, and conversations were conducted with the authorities there. Yes, thank you. I have Marisi. How are you? Go ahead.
Hi, Monica. I just wanted to ask, I know on Friday that the government of Bolivia actually sent a super tanker over to the Amazon to try to help with the fires. I wanted to know if the PGA had any statements on this or how this can further encourage other countries and governments to show such political will and action.
No, sure. No, the PGA is, she's following this issue. She was actually, if you remember, she spoke about that last week and on her Twitter account, but also here on our briefings. And she's following. As a matter of fact, she's right now speaking as left the office with the permanent representative of Bolivia. She's following the news, and she's someone also who knows this area very well, who worked several years in the Amazon forest and knows the communities. So she knows what is going on and as the crisis develops, how it affects real people there, and not only, of course, the knowledge that we have through the news, but she has first-hand knowledge because she worked there. And she, as soon as the meeting finishes, I'm expecting a readout, but she's following and keeping an eye on the recent developments. Mm-hmm. Linda, and then I have Jordan. Go ahead, Linda.
Thank you, Monica. I just have a question about the SG has about 3 weeks left to her term. I'm sorry, PGA.
The PGA. Yeah, 16 September. She will be spending an hour with you on this very day.
Right. But between now and then, or about 3 weeks, I was wondering if she's planning any additional trips or events or meetings with leaders.
Yeah, there will be. To be honest with you, her agenda is full. She keeps working nonstop, and this is her intention as well. Because, as we know, this presidency has 7 priorities for each day of the week. So we are working until the very last minute, and she will have 1 or 2, actually one more trip that we will be announcing soon. Mm-hmm. Sure, Jordan, and then Evelyn. Jordan, go ahead.
Just.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Who will, for short city trip, who will pay the trip and expenses for the PGA?
The PGA's Office Trust Fund will be covering it. Mm-hmm. Evelyn, how are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. When is her last day?
The 16th of September, and she'll be here from 11 to 12, spending an hour with you for our very last press conference. And 3 p.m., about 3 p.m. on that day, the presidency goes to our next president. Yes? Mm-hmm. That's the last day of the current session, and then we're going to have the 74th section. Yes. Anything else? How are you? SB, welcome. Mm-hmm.
I will ask you the same question I asked Stefan. Does the PGA have a prepared statement for Women's Equality Day today?
Well, the PGA celebrates this day with mixed feelings, as she usually says, as we have a long way to go. Of course, we are celebrating all the victories that we have so far, but if you look around and you see that's only 10% of women are heads of state and government. It's probably more clear when we see pictures, when we have not as many women as we wanted to have those pictures. But also when 5% of CEOs are women, just imagine. So she's very aware that we have our progresses to celebrate, but at the same time we have to still keep working, and we cannot assume that everything's fine, because it's not. We still have a long way to go. Gender equality is not a reality nowadays, and it should be. And this is one of our SDGs, and the PGA will keep working as hard as she can in order to contribute to it and to make it happen. Jordan.
I have one more
Go ahead.
question. How many staff the PGA has, and how many will remain in office for the next PGA?
Yeah. As you may know that the PGA's office structure is different from other bodies. In the case of the PGA, you have most of the contributors and the staff, as if you like. I would say most of the members of her team, not staff, as by the term staff, is seconded by diplomatic missions. So we have about 40 people right now in the. We started with 40 people in the office, but we have less, as some of these colleagues seconded by diplomatic missions had to go back to their countries, to their respective countries, and to their duties. In regard with how many of them will continue with the next PGA, I would refer you to the office of the incoming PGA, the PGA-elect, who can give you this information.
No, the question, 3 years ago, there was an agreement that half of the staff of the PGA office will remain, and then actually one of the spokesperson, PGA spokesperson, actually was a spokesperson for two PGA, and this is why I'm asking. And then at that, the PGA stated that we should not take all of them and then we bring in new people, so at least the process will be easier.
Yeah.
This is why I'm asking you, not the new one, how many, at least you be notified if you're staying for yourself, for example, and the others.
No, I can tell you about my...
No, not you. I'm just saying, like, the people who in your office, either they have been notified to remain, or they have to go back to their missions.
Yes, we are talking. There is as you know, I think when we're talking about the next team. I think I would refer you to the next PGA, the PGA-elect. There is a transition team that we can approach, and you can check who is going to remain or not. I'm not aware of these agreements, unwritten agreements that you just mentioned. However, continuity is an important point in such processes. As you know, the current PGA took some members of the previous team. In regard with the spokesperson, that I can tell you because it's my situation. So I haven't applied for the next PGA's session. So I won't be in the team. I will gladly go back to my Portuguese UN News, which is my home, has been my home. So in due time, we will announce here who is going to be the next spokesperson for you. As soon as I can, definitely I'll bring that for you. Okay? And thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.